So Harlott is a thrash metal band straight from Melbourne. They've just released their second album, Proliferation. I'm fortunate enough to be joined by their vocalist and guitarist, Andrew Hudson. Andrew, how are we?
Good, man. How are you doing?
Yeah, I'm doing really, really good. Starting to look a bit sunny out there, so it's an excellent day.
Yes, it is.
So your latest album, Proliferation, tell us a bit about it. How did you go about the writing and recording process? I mean, was it any different from its predecessor, Origin?
Not particularly. I mean, when we did Origin, we kind of, just bashed everything out in the studio and see what was working and what wasn't. You never know if an album's going to be a success or not until you kind of get the final mix. But when it came to the second album, we knew a bit more about what we actually wanted to do and the kind of sound we went for. So it was definitely a lot more hands-on the second time round, and definitely the final product was a lot closer to what we'd actually envisioned as opposed to the first album. But other than that, it was just I wrote 12 tracks of fast, angry music, and then we recorded them. It was pretty much the same deal as the first one.
So you're the main writer. Do the other members of the group, do they make any contributions to the writing process?
Our old drummer did actually write music for one song on the second album, but up until that point it had been solely myself doing all the writing for the music and the lyrics.
Awesome. Now, I think I'm bearing the lead a bit here. You originally released this independently, but then signed with Metal Blade to release it worldwide. How'd that come about?
Well, when we released the first album, I got contacted by Punishment 18. They're an Italian, bit of an indie label. They do almost exclusively thrash metal. And they wanted to sign us on for a distribution deal for 2 years with Origin, which was awesome. So, our music was actually getting sold physically overseas, which was, kind of ideal. And when it came to the second album, we were getting masters back, so I passed it on to the label manager at Punishment 18, Luke Bozio. And he said, look, this is great, but I'm not sure if I can help you, but give me a week and I'll see what I can do. And a week later, we got an email from Metal Blade, because evidently he was friends with some people that worked there and they were keen on the album. So we got an email from Metal Blade offering us a record deal.
That's incredible. I mean, so what kind of things do you get, obviously, that you don't get that much being independent, but what kind of things does benefit you to be on a label?
Bragging rights, for one, especially with something like Metal Blade. Look, it's the fact that these people know where to send the music and they know where it's going to sell, so they can print all the stuff off in Europe, they can print it off in America, they can send it to the stores and actually physically sell it, which is a lot more than I would know how to do. It's just a lot less of a hassle doing it that way. They get all the promotion. They've got all the media outlets for themselves. They've got connections with touring companies. I mean, we're going to Europe. We're flying out tomorrow, and we wouldn't have got that if we hadn't had a European label backing us. So it's an important step to make. You're not going to make $1 million, but having a label is a big hand in this day and age.
Definitely. We'll talk a bit about the tour later. That's all really crazy as well.
Sorry to bring that up earlier.
No, that's all right. I think a bit of a mention of it, get people excited, because it is incredible. So I was just interested. I'm actually wearing their T-shirt right now, Hybrid Nightmare. You got Loki to do vocals. Do you know him or?
Yeah, unfortunately, I've known that man for a very long time. We've been close friends, Harlott, with Hybrid Nightmares for a very long time, because all those bands go way back when, because they're all, we're all high school bands. We all formed in high school and we started playing shows together when we were teenagers, and now we still all know each other. And, I have always had a bit of a thing for, old Gorgoroth, and I wanted to put a bit of a black metal swing section in a song, and I thought, if someone's going to drop some disgustingly raspy vocals on it, it's probably going to have to be Loki.
Definitely. I've seen them a couple of times live, and they've always sort of recalled that sort of early Norwegian kind of black metal thing. It's really cool.
They're doing some interesting things on stage. I'll give them that.
Your album cover sort of features a guy with money in one hand, missiles in the other, and missiles, and a pendant about the Manhattan Project. Are you worried that maybe some people in America might not take too kindly to that? Because it sort of is all the negative perceptions of America.
Yeah, well, luckily we're going to Europe, not America. I think it's more to do with the title Proliferation, about warheads, than the actual U.S. government themselves. The Manhattan Project, I don't know, it seemed like a cool thing to put there. I'm not having to go at the Americans. I'm sure they've got some lovely policies somewhere in their constitution. But look, I haven't even thought about alienating the American audience.
Fair enough.
I'm glad you brought that up. Now I'm concerned.
No, I think they're probably used to it by now, so I don't think you're right.
I don't think Americans like America, so I think we should be fine.
That's probably true. So,
especially metalheads, they hate everything.
Definitely. In many ways, the world is kind of more relatable to the themes of war and religion and violence that's always been present throughout thrash metal. Does rather than the 80s, it's definitely more prevalent now. Does that sort of any way inspire you particularly, or is it just more general?
Oh God, I don't know. I always get this question like, what inspires your themes and your lyrics, and it's really hard to write angry music and angry lyrics when you live in the eastern suburbs of Melbourne. You've had nothing but like a cherished childhood and a blessed upbringing. But the world's a pretty horrible place if you look close enough. I'm sorry about swearing.
No, that's right. We can bleep it. That's fine.
No, you can bleep. Oh, you're gonna have to. Oh, sorry, man. Look, you watch SBS World News, and there is more than enough fodder for you to write 1,000 songs worth of lyrics. Just by observing what happens in this world in this day and age, the human condition is a horrible thing, and it really, it gets you going if you think about it too much.
So the vocals in this album can often be kind of technical. Like, I find that it's often really, really fast, really precise. Is that kind of difficult at times to perform? Because it seems
I don't know
very...
if you've noticed already, but I do like to talk. I'm pretty gifted at it. It's just something I can do. I can spit words out pretty quickly. It's what I like listening to. When you listen to thrash music and they've got like a slow kind of swinging like vocal pattern, there's no staccato in there. You lose all the energy. So for I try and put as many words in there as possible, which is makes it really difficult to I think the first album was a 2,500 word essay by the end of it.
Oh wow!
I'm pretty sure the second one topped it with a word count. But it's what we're going for. It's the sound that we like, and it's what we do. It's not that I've got that many messages I need to get out. I just love using big, complicated words that make me sound like the pretentious twat that I am.
I can definitely relate to that. So, you talked a bit about the fact that you started off some of these bands in high school, you and other people in other bands around Melbourne. What compelled you to play thrash in sort of particular, as opposed to sort of other extreme metal sort of genres that kind of seem a bit more prevalent these days? Well,
we kind of tried a bit of everything when we were in high school because we were just jamming together. We were, learning covers of Lamb of God and Slayer and Megadeth and Opeth, Testament, that kind of stuff. And, when we first started writing songs, we had a bit of everything. We had some, death metal, black metal, bit of power metal, just like groove, stuff like that. But, I don't know, quite organically, it all just shifted to thrash. Like, we wrote one thrash song, and we went, wow, that's a lot of fun. So then we wrote another one, and then another. And then, when we released our first EP, it was just 6 songs of thrash metal. And it was like, well, I guess that's what we're doing now. Oh, cool. It was just, that's what we enjoy doing.
Awesome. Now the tour. So next week it's actually going to start. That's crazy close. I can't imagine what you're feeling right now.
Tomorrow night.
It's incredible.
That's not a lot.
So it's going to be with Annihilator throughout Europe. I mean, there's a bunch of countries. It's really cool.
I think it's 17 countries, 34 shows.
I've actually got a list of it, and I'm just amazed at how many sort of countries you're doing. It's incredible. Like, how exciting is this? It couldn't probably even be framed in excitement, really, could it?
I can't even... I don't know what's in store. I got no idea what I'm up against. I'm just going to go over there and play some shows. Like, it's... I don't know. It's scary to think about. You always dream about this kind of thing happening, but you never think it's going to happen because you're a bunch of kids from Melbourne playing music that was popular 30 years ago. And look, some of the cities we're playing in I didn't even know existed. So I don't know. Should be interesting. Hopefully it's going to be a lot of fun.
Have you been doing any prep for it?
Well, I've been trying to become less terrible at my instrument, and I think we're all practicing really hard at not being the worst band in the world. But other than that, just pretty much everything was sorted for us. All we had to do was, pay for a tour bus. The rest was all the shows were organised. The bus knows where it's going and where it's got to pick us up from. We just had to get our passports and our visas in order.
So you recently played a number of shows with King Parrot, as well as previously supporting Accept and Dave Ellison. Do you feel it's done any sort of preparation for you in order to...
The King Parrot shows were very handy to do a couple of back-to-back shows just to, get yourself ready for tour. Like, because we've got a new drummer and we don't ever played single shows with him. So it was good to know that he can back up the performance each night and, not give in to fatigue. That was accidentally a line from one of my songs. Can't believe I just did that. Look, the King Parrot shows are awesome. We got a really good reception from them because King Parrot just pulled crowds. People were there telling us, they were like, "Oh, we just had to come down and see what the fuss was about." Like, so King Parrot are doing something incredibly well marketing-wise. To pull a couple of hundred people in Ballarat and Frankston and Geelong is just all the Frank Walker National Tiles cities. It's amazing that they can do that, and it was awesome to play with them. They're a bunch of absolute champions, and they just put on a good show every night. So that was good warm-up for us.
Awesome. Now, despite the fact that you'll be all over the continent, I mean, it's surprisingly sort of condensed. It'll all be over by mid-November. Do you have any sort of plans for that, or have you not thought that far ahead?
Well, for what we're going to do before or after it?
After the tour, yeah.
After the tour, come home and sleep for a month. Mate, we land on the Tuesday night, and I'm going to be back at work on Wednesday morning.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's pretty
I haven't worked very hard, but I'm going to have to go there and at least collect some money.
You'll have to be awake at least.
Yeah, I just need to be present at my workplace, and I'm pretty sure I'll still collect money. I think we get back and we go into writing mode. We got a show in Adelaide at the end of November and a welcome back show in Melbourne first week of December. Other than that, it's just get cracking on album 3. Make hay while the sun is shining.
You recently made a video for one of your songs.
Yes. It did actually cost $55. That's not even a lie.
Oh,
That's
wow.
how much it cost me to buy everyone involved charcoal chicken for lunch.
So, as I'm sure people can tell if they haven't already watched, it was relatively light-hearted, and that's sort of a trend amongst certain Australian bands.
It's definitely the Aussie thing to do. It was also like our last hurrah. Like, we released that a week before we had signed on to Metal Blade. Like, we knew the contract was there, and we were like, all right, we're about to become a serious, we're going to have label responsibilities and contractual obligations soon. Let's just do the dickest thing we can while we can still afford to and get away with it.
Oh, that's funny. It's
an idea I'd had for a while, and we had the perfect song for it, so we just slapped that together on, a lazy Sunday afternoon, and it is what it is. Hopefully people get a bit of a chuckle out of it, but not so many that they don't listen to the song.
Well, I certainly did. Who made the costume? I'm curious.
That was my arts and crafts skills. I happen to be pretty handy. I cut and paste at a grade 3 level.
I was thoroughly impressed.
The Tom 800 unit.
One last question, a bit of a sort of non-specific question. Do you have a favourite non-thrash album? Because I know another publication asked you about your favourite thrash albums. Do you have a favourite non-thrash?
Oh, favourite non-thrash album. I can give you my favourite non-thrash metal album. I can give you my favourite non-metal album.
Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, God. All right. Do you know Jethro Tull?
I do.
Heavy Horses. Heavy Horses is one of the toughest albums of all time.
Fair enough.
It's absolutely incredible.
I'll have to go home and listen to it then.
And if you listen to power metal at all, you need to listen to Blind Guardian's Somewhere Far Beyond.
Of course.
Which is probably technically a thrash album, but I'm pretty sure they claim no power. But it's pretty much just the fastest happy music ever.
Certainly is. Andrew, thank you so much for joining me.
Thanks for calling, man.
Harlott's released their latest album, Proliferation. We're going to be touring Europe and then hopefully back in Australia for a few shows in November and December. Something to definitely look forward to.
Yeah, I'll see you there.
See you, Andrew.
All right, see you, mate.